The woman who destroyed my $10 million lake mansion for missing a $300 fee had no idea she was standing on land I owned, including her own house. That was the moment I stopped being her victim and started her downfall. I stood at the edge of my lake dock, the air thick with dust and disbelief, as bulldozers ripped through my $10 million mansion like it was paper. Karen, bright red blazer, clipboard shaking, yelled orders to the demolition crew, convinced she was restoring order. Her voice echoed across the quiet lake like thunder. "Failure to pay $300 HOA dues," she shouted, as if those tiny words justified destroying decades of work, memories, and my late wife's dream home. Neighbors peeked from behind curtains, whispering. They thought I'd been evicted, ruined, humiliated. And for a moment, I almost believed it myself. Before we go on, please, where are you watching from and what time is it right now? I want to see how many families, parents, and neighbors are feeling this story across the country tonight. Your comment helps this message reach more people who faced unfair HOA rules too. Then I saw Karen smirk, pulling her sunglasses down as if she just defeated me. That smirk burned into my mind like a brand. My fists clenched. I'd built this entire neighborhood, every brick, every house, every tree planted. And she didn't even know. Dust drifted across the lake. The bulldozers roared again. I took one last look at the ruin. Inside that chaos, something cold and calculating sparked in me. Not rage, revenge. Karen thought I was done. She thought she'd broken me. She didn't know she just handed me the perfect excuse to end her reign for good. It all started 5 years earlier when I moved back to Portland, Maine after my wife, Elaine, passed away. I wanted peace, quiet lake mornings, simple living. I purchased land beside Clearwater Lake, where Elaine and I used to fish. I built a mansion in her memory, stone walls, cedar roofs, her favorite blue shutters. The neighborhood was under the Clearwater Lake Homeowners Association, led by a new president named Karen Lockhart. Sharp tongue, perfect hair, fake smile. At first, she welcomed me with cookies and a thick rulebook. "We keep everything neat here," she said, her tone sugary but cold underneath. I barely read it. I was grieving. I just wanted quiet. Soon she began reminding me about small violations: grass too high, mailbox too rustic, boat dock too long. Every letter she sent felt personal, like she was itching for a fight. I ignored her. I'd faced worse storms in life than a clipboard-wielding HOA queen. But when she started spreading rumors, that I was broke, that my mansion was bought on credit, it wasn't just about rules anymore. It was about power. And I could tell, Karen liked watching people kneel. It began small, mysterious fines, envelopes slipped under my door, unpaid fees I'd already cleared. Karen was tightening her grip, one form at a time. I visited the HOA office one morning, sunlight filtering through glass walls filled with certificates, each one signed by her own hand. "Karen," I said calmly, "you've charged me twice for the same maintenance fee." She smiled that tight-lipped smile. "Oh, clerical error. Just pay again and we'll fix it next month." Her tone made it clear, there was no we. There was only her. I left uneasy. Later that night, I noticed tire tracks across my front lawn and my mailbox split in half. The next morning, I found another notice: failure to maintain property aesthetic. That's when I realized it wasn't random. She wanted to break me. Neighbors whispered apologies, but nobody dared oppose her. Every time I passed her house, I saw her curtains twitch, like she was watching. I told myself to ignore it. But when I found a demolition warning stapled to my door, my blood ran cold. It read, "Final notice, demolition authorized for unpaid dues." I called the county office, furious. There must be a mistake. No HOA can demolish private property, I said. The clerk hesitated. "Sir, the permit came through the HOA's special zoning division. It's complicated." Complicated meant corruption. Karen had connections. She'd manipulated signatures, convinced the city my property was foreclosed due to unpaid HOA fees. I couldn't believe it. $10 million of craftsmanship, all threatened over a $300 dispute. I tried calling her. No answer. I drove to her house, white shutters, perfect roses, American flag waving proudly, as if she were some model citizen. She opened the door halfway. "Oh, it's you," she said flatly. "Maybe pay your dues next time, Mr. Weston." Then she shut the door in my face. That night I barely slept. My wife's portrait hung above the fireplace, the one she painted before she passed. I stared at it and whispered, "Elaine, they're taking it all." But inside, something else whispered back, "Don't let them." 3 days later, at dawn, the demolition crew arrived. They fenced off my property, flashing orange lights bouncing across the lake's surface like fire. I ran outside, waving my arms. "Stop. You have no right." Karen stood by a black SUV, arms crossed, clipboard raised. "Too late, Mr. Weston. The board voted unanimously." I shouted, "I am the board." But they didn't hear me over the roar of machinery. The first wall came down with a thunderous crack. Every sound stabbed through me like a knife. My wife's art studio collapsed first, the place where she dreamed of teaching kids to paint. Neighbors stood in silence. One of them, an old man named Russell, whispered, "I told her it wasn't legal." She wouldn't listen. By the time the roof caved in, I couldn't feel my legs. Karen brushed past me, smiling coldly. "Maybe next time, you'll pay your bills." She didn't see my eyes. Didn't hear my quiet reply, "You just buried your own future." The next few days were quiet. Too quiet. My lakefront property was nothing but rubble, dust, and shattered glass reflecting the Maine sun. Karen strutted around the neighborhood, holding HOA meetings, bragging about discipline and example setting. People clapped, afraid not to. I stayed away. I spent nights at a small cabin I owned across the lake. Nobody remembered it existed. While she celebrated, I gathered documents, deeds, maps, and contracts I'd signed years ago. Because back in 1998, I hadn't just built a house. I'd bought the entire Clearwater development, registered under my company, West Shore Properties LLC. Every home here, every HOA inch, sat on my land. Karen had no idea. I watched her from my dock one evening, her reflection rippling across the water. She thought she'd won. But she'd just demolished a house that technically belonged to her landlord. And I couldn't wait to collect rent. The next HOA meeting was my stage. Karen sat at the head of the long oak table, surrounded by trembling board members and half-interested neighbors. I walked in quietly, dressed in gray slacks and a navy jacket. Every eye turned. "Mr. Weston," Karen said, fake pleasant. "This is a private meeting." I smiled. "Private? On my property?" The room went still. I pulled a folder from my briefcase, thick papers stamped with county seals. "These," I said, "are the original land titles for Clearwater Estates." Gasps filled the room. Karen's face drained of color. "You don't own this neighborhood," she snapped. "Actually," I said softly, "I own every parcel from the dock to the clubhouse. Including your house." Her hand trembled. I dropped another paper on the table. "And this is the demolition permit you forged under false authority." She froze. Then came the first crack in her perfect shell: fear. Word spread fast. By morning, every mailbox had a notice: HOA meetings suspended pending ownership review. Karen tried to fight back. She called an emergency session, claiming I'd misrepresented records. But I'd already invited the local news. Cameras rolled as I revealed her misuse of HOA funds, illegal fines, and false permit signatures. Her face crumbled on live television. Neighbors who once feared her stood up and clapped. I told the reporter, "I built this community to honor my wife." Karen turned it into her kingdom of fear. The footage went viral. By nightfall, Karen's car was egged, her mailbox knocked over, the same way she'd done to mine years ago. She resigned the next morning. But I wasn't done. I sued her for property destruction, fraud, and emotional damages. The court awarded me triple compensation, over $30 million. When she left the courtroom, she couldn't even look me in the eye. Months passed. The rubble cleared, and builders returned, this time under my orders. I rebuilt the mansion exactly as it was before, every stone placed with care. Neighbors volunteered to help repaint the dock and restore the garden Elaine loved. We renamed the area Elaine's Point. For the first time in years, Clearwater felt like a community again, not a battlefield. Karen vanished from Portland, last I heard. Some say she moved to Arizona, changed her name, tried to join another HOA. But her name still lingered in whispers, a warning to those who abuse power. Every evening I'd sit by the lake, the golden sunset kissing the rebuilt roofline, and whisper, "We did it, Elaine. Peace, finally." But deep down, I couldn't help smiling at one last thought. Karen demolished my house. And I demolished her entire empire. 10 years later, people still talk about it, the Clearwater Rebellion. New families moved in, kids laughing by the lake, not afraid of clipboards anymore. I'd retired by then, my business handled by younger partners. But every morning I still walked to the dock, coffee steaming in the cold Maine air. A bronze plaque sat at the edge, in memory of Elaine Weston, "Dreams can't be bulldozed." Sometimes reporters asked, "Do you regret what happened?" I'd smile. Only that I didn't stop her sooner. Because when power meets arrogance, it always ends the same way, collapse. Karen taught me that. She wanted control. I wanted peace. And peace, as it turned out, was mine to give or take away. The mansion stood tall again, glowing across the lake. A reminder to everyone who saw it. Never underestimate the quiet man by the dock. He might just own everything you think you control.